There are a lot of strange cases that come up in the courtroom and you never know what these criminals will do. Some are the offender's dissatisfaction with the judge's decision, some are the victim's family's anger at the offender, and some may be the judge's loss of proper sanity because of the offender's impudence. What exactly is it because of? Well, without further ado, let's start with number 10. Number 10. When sister found out that her brother, Lance Dyer, had been sentenced to 11 years in prison for stealing a vehicle and leading police on a highway chase, she was horrified.
Is there anything further from the state?
And that's the man. My brother got 13 years old. Stop saying.
Lance was only 16 years old and had a gun on him. When police approached him, Lance jumped out of the car and aimed his gun at the officers as he ran. An officer shot him in the hand and he was quickly arrested. Well, let's take a look at the number 9 case. This one stands out. It broke out in court, but not in the way you might think.
Mr. Booth, I have a question.
A man approached a judge for a crime he committed, and when he realized who the judge was, he lost his temper and broke down crying.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to Nautilus for middle school?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry to see you there. I always wondered what happened to you, sir. Cool.
Oh my goodness.
He was the best kid in middle school. I used to play football with him. Mr.
That
Booth, I
judge
hope
was
you're
Judge
able to
Mindy
change your
Glazer,
ways.
who went to high school with this 49-year-old Arthur Booth, who was remembered by Judge Mindy Glazer as a
What's
very
sad
nice
is how
kid.
old we've become.
When he realized who Judge Mindy Glazer was, he began to break down and cry. Number 8. The next clip is a little hard to watch, but you'll see one of the judges start to freak out.
Like 3 days to count.
I never threatened.
Stand up.
He literally leaves his seat and it looks like the judge is going to fight this
Put your
criminal.
hands behind your back. Tase his ass right now.
After the judge leaves, the man starts arguing with the officers in the courtroom.
Can't fucking tell me to leave you alone. Can't fucking tell me to leave you alone.
Number 7. Number 7 is Michael Thomas, who went on a rampage in the courtroom. This man is so dangerous and so unstable that he has to appear in a courtroom where the people sitting in the courtroom actually have to stand behind a glass wall. They could not be in the same room. The police even had to calm friends and family in the audience. People were so agitated that more police had to be called in. After pleading guilty to 2 counts of first-degree reckless homicide, Michael Thomas was ultimately sentenced to 35 years in prison, plus 10 years of long-term supervision, for the murder of Sharon Staples and her unborn child during a 2011 robbery. In the number 6 segment, we see a father confront his son's killer. The father is terrified because his son's killer is trying to get leniency through an insanity defense, meaning that he was not in his right mind when he committed the murder. This way, the murderer would only have to serve time in a mental institution and his sentence would be shortened. I really sympathize with the father and I would have been thrilled. When I first saw this clip, I was in tears and I couldn't imagine what this father was going through. Number 5. This is actually the father of 3 victims who were all sexually assaulted by Larry Nassar. Larry Nassar was a doctor for USA Gymnastics who sexually assaulted more than 150 women. He was sentenced to 175 years in
I
prison.
want this community to heal. I have no animosity towards anyone. I just want healing. It's time.
In court, the father offered to be alone with the prisoner. Of course the judge said no, but the father did what he wanted to do.
To grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
I have
Would
a
you
feeling.
do that?
That is not how
Yes or
our.
no?
No, sir, I can't.
Would you
do
give me
that.
1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal
Well, I'm
system
gonna
works.
Give me 1 minute with that pastor.
Luckily for the father, he was not prosecuted for the assault. In fact, nothing happened to this father, just a warning. Enter number 4, where we have a killer trying to exercise his right to stand up. I'm not sure it was his right. The police told this convicted murderer to sit down, but he tried to stand up. So the guy was actually convicted of beheading a 19-year-old teenager. I think not only does this guy not deserve to stand up in court, I think he deserves to be forgotten in prison. Moving into number 3. The murderer shot the victim and was seen by 2 minor children, who stabbed them to death, fearing that they would call the police. The inmate had spit on law enforcement officers several times in previous court sessions and was masked in this one.
Why y'all have me come out like this for?
I think you know why. I'm gonna keep talking because I don't want to have to see you back here for this.
What you think where you live at? What you think at? None of that. I ain't do.
So you're saying you're gonna find out where I'm out?
None of that. You got family out
The
there.
offender became disgruntled
Okay.
and
You have any
threatened to
questions? Would you like
retaliate
to
in
appoint
court
another
against
public
the
defender?
judge, who calmly enhanced the
just said that.
sentence for contempt of
I just
court.
said that.
I'll be out.
That was a threat against the court. I think that I'm asking the county attorney's office to take that into account and consider what to do with that.
Number 2. Now we see a judge who is frantic. This judge is very angry because he is sentencing a woman who has been convicted of killing her boyfriend. She shows no remorse. At the end of the sentence, the judge says, "I hope you die in prison."
Because I used to fillet pike and muskie and salmon. And I'll tell you, you gutted him like a fish in that apartment too. You were relentless, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed until he was dead. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair.
Number 1. Finally, there was a mother who avenged her daughter's death. When Klaus was in court for his murder trial, she got her revenge. The mother pulled a .22 caliber Beretta out of her purse and pulled the trigger 8 times on the killer's back. The killer was shot 6 times and died instantly on the courtroom floor. For me, there was no doubt about it. In the end, this mother and her beloved daughter were buried together. Thank you all for watching.